Hello and welcome. This is Jacob Ben Issachar, Creative Mind Productions. Got another segment for you today. More, self-development, self-examination we've been going over. But this is more dealing with feelings and emotions in the workplace, in your life, with family, with your spouse, man or woman. And it's actually called animosity. Now, if you don't know what animosity means, it means a strong feeling or dislike or hatred. Now, that's one thing that a lot battle with is hatred. Now, how does this become manifest? There's many ways, envy, lust, jealousy, you know, despitefulness. You might see characteristics in somebody and you might hate them for it because you don't have it. You might look at somebody's possessions and hate them because you don't have that. Or you might simply be self-righteous, or you don't respect yourself, and there's no way you're going to respect anybody else, and that leads to hatred. There's different types of scenarios on why people hate one another, but we're going to look at the general depiction of what animosity is: a strong feeling or dislike. Now, that is a spirit that a lot suffer from because growing up in the community or growing up in their living circumstance, they have always dealt with negative and hateful people. They have not been taught what it is to show love. They have not been taught what it is to show respect, or they probably weren't disciplined properly as a youth up. And that's why they are the way they are today. But that doesn't mean hate them for it. That means correct them for it. And that's why within the communities today, there's not a lot of correction because a lot don't feel obligated to correct these issues. And that is why there are drugs in the community. That is why there's gang violence in the community. There is hatred in the community. There's rape in the community. There's thievery in the community. There's lies in the community. There's so much wickedness going on in the communities nowadays, nationwide, that a lot don't seem to realize, and they don't see how it could actually affect them. You see what I'm saying? Because they're under an illusion that, oh, they're good. I'm fine. I don't have to worry about that. And that's why we have to be very mindful of how we conduct ourselves around one another instead of being hateful and disrespectful. Be mindful of how you conduct yourself around people. So, resentment toward or hostility. You see what I'm saying? Resentment towards actual hostility. So, if we look at a different avenue here, uh, agnostic attitude. No, agnostic attitude. Now, if we look at synonyms for this: enmity, bad blood, bitterness, or grudge. Now, that's one thing that a lot seem to apply in their life because, like I stated, they've been raised to believe this way. They've been raised to conduct themselves in this way. Okay, now more like divine hatred in any given position. That's really what animosity is. It's a divine hatred. If you are a producer, you love creating music. It's divine. You love creating beats. In another perspective, somebody shows hate all the time, it's divine to them. Why? Because they've been so accustomed. It's natural. It's like a 9 to 5. That's what they do. You see what I'm saying? So that's why we have to examine and counterattack this now. So now you know what hatred is, man. A grudge, bad blood, disrespect, a strong feeling or desire of hatred. Okay? Now we're going to look at the antonyms. Enmity, a feeling of compassion or consideration. A lot don't show consideration. Why? Because a lot are very selfish in this current life that we live in. Okay. Now, to apply love, you have to understand one thing, because that's the solution of this. Okay, that's a solution. If you don't understand uh biblical terminologies, for this is the love. If we keep the Most High law, you see what I'm saying, and His laws are not grievous. Now, we're gonna point that in a personal perspective. If you have a son and you tell him not to do something that offends you for his benefit, and he does it, there's probably gonna be some disciplinary actions or a consequence for him doing that. In a relationship, you tell your woman, or your woman tells your man not to do something, and they go and do it. there's going to be a disciplinary action or there's going to be an argument manifested. And that's why it's very important that you understand what love is. Now, love is the action verb. People tend to use their mouth. You see what I'm saying? They use their mouth. Talking about, I love you. I care for you. I need you. But if their works and their actions don't dictate that love, it actually means nothing. And it's of non effect because they're not showing the action. You understand? But I've looked up dictionary terminologies for love and they've said that it's a noun. It's beyond feelings, everybody. You see what I'm saying? I'm not knocking that, but it's actually a verb. You see what I'm saying? If my actions can't dictate my love for you, obviously something's wrong. Okay? So you have to realize one thing. There's processes to everything. Of course, there's processes. If you were not taught love, then you have to learn it. Basics, basics, basics. So the present position you're in does not dictate what manifests in you. Okay? What do I mean by that? The present position you're in does not dictate what's truly manifested within you. See what I'm saying? That statement, you could create whatever you want. You could be whatever you want to be. You could do whatever you want. Is actually a true statement. You see what I'm saying? And that's what a lot tend to alleviate from because they want to make things complex. They want to be like, oh no, no, no. See, this means, you see what I'm saying? They want to come all hypothetical and get all crazy when it's very simple. You see what I'm saying? You are a creator of your own reality. You see what I'm saying? You get in what you put in, if I could say. So just know, so if you are a bitter and hateful person, that is what will become manifest in your life. So if you're always conducting yourself as a bitter and hateful person, that's what you're going to be. Opposed to based on how you conduct yourself and on a day-to-day basics. Okay. Now, if you're actually applying compassion and consideration and care for one another, then that's what you're going to manifest in your life. But if that's not what you're doing, then we got a problem because you're not examining yourself. And that's one thing we have to do, man. We have to examine ourselves. Okay? So you get it how you live. You are a creator of your reality. Life is really what you make it. It's very simple. You've been taught this all your life, but I don't think you probably took in consideration because you've been told a lot of things. And that's why it's very important that you differentiate truth from false. You differentiate light from darkness. You differentiate so-called logic from falsified information. Okay? Because you have a lot of people in this current life that we live in, blind, ignorant, and very stupid. And I'm very blunt when I say these words. And it's voluntary now because we have the world in the palm of our hands. You see what I'm saying? This right here, I'm access to a lot of information on this phone here. But people rather be on social media all day talking about what I ate for breakfast. That doesn't make sense. See what I'm saying? If you're not utilizing these tools, utilizing these privileges, I say, because in countries a lot can't use certain access to internet and information because it's limited. Okay, but psychologically, it's like being in prison. You are limited from an excessive amount of information. Still, currently, you might not be in prison, but mentally, you have psychological change because you alleviate and you mitigate, and through willful ignorance and cognitive dissonance, you automatically dismiss new information that arouses not to change your reality and how you perceive life, although it might affect you detrimentally. So, the conclusion is this: examine yourself before you spew out words, before you conduct yourself in certain manners that might seem as hatred. Because a lot of people perceive misconceptions. If they don't understand who you are, where you're coming from, what it is you're about, they have a form of awareness or they're kind of iffy about this, man. And I'm telling you this out of experience, man. I'm not just telling you this because I read this somewhere or this and that. These are simple things that you probably deal with on a day-to-day basis and probably don't even see it because you're not examining this. So with that being said, learn to apply love. You feel me? Action steps, not words. Action steps. And I know you could do it and I know I could do it, so let's do it. All right, Creative Mind Productions.